A warm welcome to all of you on the other side of the screen. I am the Overly Positive Fanboy, and today's Overly Positive review is Star Wars Andor Season 1. Picking up 5 years before the events of Rogue One, Cassian Andor finds himself becoming involved with a growing rebellion, all while the Empire's oppressive leash grows tighter and tighter. I think it's safe to say that nobody was asking for Lucasfilm to make a series about one of the less popular or memorable characters from Rogue One, and yet, that might be this show's biggest strength, as Andor is free to go in any direction at once, and with Rogue One writer Tony Gilroy acting as the showrunner, it definitely lives up to that potential. The biggest strength of Andor is the character work. Cassian himself is expertly written. He starts out as a thief, only in it for himself, until the events of the season slowly push him into the morally compromised hero we all know him as in Rogue One. His arc is just very nicely handled. The other major protagonist of the show is our old pal Mon Mothma, finally breaking out of her perpetual one-scene wonder status and getting expanded like never before. Want to see her day job as an Imperial Senator desperately fighting for justice in a fascist galaxy? We've got it! Want to see her family life where her cause distances her from her daughter while her husband is an apathetic jerkface? We've got it! Want to see how her status as a crusader has left her isolated and unable to trust most of the people she interacts with? We've got it! While Cassian brings the grounded viewpoint of life under the Empire's oppressive heel, Mon Mothma demonstrates the sacrifices needed to stand up against it, and it's all so good. Our other standout character is Luthen Rael, played by Stellan Skarsgård. He's a mysterious man with ties to the wider rebellion and a public persona as an affable antiques dealer. His morality and alignment are always in question, and his character is basically meant to reflect the necessary evil and dirty work that is often needed to carry out a revolution, and this grey area makes him a standout aspect of the series. This show also introduces a ton of new characters, and all of them leave some impression, from Cassian's family and friends, including this utterly adorable droid with the best name ever, to the various rebels and civilians Cassian meets along the way, and also our antagonists. The Empire is obviously the main bad guy, but there are two people acting as the tangible threats. First up is Cyril Khan, a corporate security guard who fucks up big time, loses his job, and then becomes obsessed with finding Cassian Andor. This Ben Shapiro-looking dweeb is a bootlicking weasel with mommy issues that almost dips into incel stalker territory later on. While Cassian's going on all of these grand adventures, Cyril is sitting around in a crappy apartment getting admonished by his overbearing mother. He's a kind of character we've never seen before in Star Wars, and that makes him both fascinating and entertaining to watch. The other major antagonist is Dedra Meero, an intelligence officer who is probably the most dangerous person in the entire Empire. She's competent enough to spot the early signs of rebel movements long before anyone else has even conceived of it as a possibility, and she's also smart enough to know that self-serving ambition and over-oppression are not the right way to go about dealing with that problem. She's ruthless, determined, and inflicts horrible torture upon characters we have already come to know and love. But she's also portrayed as an underdog within the ISB, making us root for her to get one up over her short-sighted colleagues. This contradiction is so fun and makes her a great villain. Now, the main selling point of this Star Wars show is how much it eschews the typical Star Wars trappings. There's no Jedi, no Force, no lightsabers, a limited number of spaceship scenes, and barely any of that pulpy cheese we all know and love. Instead, we've got a more mature take on Star Wars, and thankfully this is actual maturity on display here. None of that, we've got blood and boobies and naughty words, look how adult we are, nonsense you see in most mature versions of stuff kids can enjoy. Just good old-fashioned dark storytelling, complicated characters, and political intrigue. It's just all so darn great. Man, it sure is nice to watch a Star Wars show without having to deal with online discourse nonsense. Huh? What's all this about bricks and screws? Okay, I've been gushing for minutes now, so you're probably wondering if there's anything bad about Andor. Honestly, no, there isn't. By all accounts, this is a pretty amazing show, so what could possibly be wrong about it? Well, there is one thing to consider. Andor has an unusual plot structure where every 3 episodes form their own complete arc while still building up a larger picture. Episode 7 is a standalone transition episode exploring the aftermath of one arc while setting up the next, and then after the following 3-parter, we're treated to a 2-part finale. Because of this 3-episode structure, each arc can feel like watching a movie, meaning that the first 2 parts are just pieces of a larger whole and can be viewed as lacking in action. This is a deliberate choice on the showrunner's part, as the first 2 parts build things up and let us get to know everyone involved before things explode into all-out epicness in the 3rd part. None of this is a flaw on Andor's part, and if you're binge-watching then you probably won't even take issue with it, but this structure could test the patience of some audience members, so I feel like I should at least provide a warning, just in case. In conclusion, Star Wars Andor is a great show that broadens the franchise's horizons whilst providing a much-needed exploration into both the politics and moral compromises needed to create the Rebel Alliance we know and love. It's brilliant, and I eagerly await the year-spanning 2nd season. Shame it likely won't come out until 2024. I want to watch it now! Well, that was Star Wars Andor's 1st season, and this is Overly Positive Reviews. Tune in next time for... hold on. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and we're going to celebrate by looking at an entire film series appropriate for the holidays. All the highs and all the lows. Oh God, there are so many lows.